Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel, Coffee and Craft with Nix and Timmy. If you are new here, welcome, and if you're a returning subscriber, thank you so much for your support. Here is the next chapter of my DT project for Bee Happy Stationery. Hope you enjoy it. Okay, so now we're going to work on our papers, and I also added a few fabric papers from my stash to the papers. Okay, so all we're going to do is we're going to cut the white borders off of all of these, and then we'll do maybe some stamping and stuff, and some grunging and all that kind of stuff. Okay, so I'm going to cut these up and I'll be back. Okie doke, so we're going to coffee dye up some of these papers, just grungies, put some splatters and everything like my usual style. There we go, some nice coffee staining on that one. Let's move on to the next page. Okay, another one. Okay, so I'm going to continue to decorate these, or not decorate them, but coffee stain these off camera, and then I'll come back and show you what they look like. Okay, so just to interrupt the coffee dyeing, on this page I really like these dresses patterns in the background, and over here you can see there's like white and there's stitching around the edges. So what I thought I would do is with the dress patterns, I'm going to put some embossing on them to make them stand out. So I've got black, I've got red, and I've got pumice stone, so I will use those. So I'm just using my distressed embossing pen from Ranger, and I'm just going to go around the patterns. Plastic down. Let's use red just for a different color. There you go. Now I'm just going to continue with the other ones, and I'll show you what it looks like at the end. There we go. Did all the embossing. Looks pretty cool. Now the next idea that I have is I'm actually going to stitch along these stitches. Haven't quite figured out if I'm going to do the sewing machine yet, because I don't know if you know, my sewing machine doesn't like me. So I may just stitch it by hand. I think it might look nicer if I stitch it by hand. Thank you. I'll see you in a bit. Okay, so I finished decorating all the pages. This one I just copied out. This one I'm leaving plain. This is just an extra piece of page that I'm adding in. It's like a texture, like a fabric. And put some grit paste along the edges here, and in the center and over there, and also coffee dyed. Here I added some black texture paste and coffee dyed it. On this one I added some brown texture paste through a stencil that looks like cracks, and then I embossed the lady with clear embossing so that she stands out. This one is the extra page. It was also just like a fabric, and I just put some stamping over it. Same with this one. I also distressed it with sandpaper and some ink. This one's also just the extra page that I added, and I just stamped some fabric stamp on it. This one's from the kit, and I just put some white texture paste over it. This one I just coffee dyed, and then I cut the circles out, and I put some black texture paste on this side and some white on this side, and I'll show you what I'm going to do with those when I put them in the book. In this one we also embossed with clear embossing, and then just some coffee staining, some more coffee staining, and then a little bit of embossing over here and over here on the needle. Then here we just did coffee staining again, and then on this page we did coffee staining, and then I put some clear embossing over the dragonfly wings, and on this page we did the embossing around the pattern so that it stands out. So there we go. There are all those pages finished. And then, so now after we finish doing all of the coffee staining and decorating, I am going to attempt to sew these with my sewing machine. Dun dun dun. So as you know, me and my sewing machine are not very good friends, so we're going to attempt to do that. Okay, so the first thing we have to do is, because these are so much bigger than my book, I'm going to have to cut down and put some of them down to size. So I need to kind of figure out what I want to lose and what I don't want to lose. So I don't want to lose dragonfly wings and the mannequin, but I can lose the lace because I can always put my own lace on. So we're going to cut that down there. And then I don't want to lose any of these buttons here, so I can lose a fraction on top and a fraction on the bottom. Awesome. Okay, so then on this one I can lose a bit of the mannequin, I think. Yeah, and a little bit of the lace. So let's just cut a smidgen. Okay, so I'm going to continue resizing all of these off camera, and then I will come back on. Actually, no, I won't come back on. I'm going to do the sewing off camera to see if it actually works. So when I'm finished that, then I'll come back and I'll show you my pages. Deal? Cool. Okay, so I'm finally finished sewing. So let's just go through the papers quickly and I'll show you what I did. Sewed around the dragonfly wings on that one, and the dragonfly wings there, and I sewed the crack. Here I just sewed along the stitches. I didn't do all of them because I didn't want to go across the wing. Same with that one. I just stitched down the one side there. Stitched on some lace and stitched down the side, stitched on some lace and just went over the stitch over there and just put some at the top, sewed around Paris, sewed around there, and then just sewed around the scissors. This is what I did on this one, which is the one I cut out in circles, and I said I would show you what it was, and I just wanted to sew over the like actual circles, so it looks kind of cool. Just sewed on some lace and sewed down there, just sewed down the edge. This one I did a bit of sewing. I sewed across the top, sewed across the bottom, sewed across the scratches on the side, and I sewed on the skirt. Here I sewed around her, I sewed across the bottom and the top. I sewed some of the stitches upside down so that they look like quite messy stitches. Here I just zigzagged down the middle. This one I just sewed like that. Here I sewed with some different colour stitching. Same with this one. The orange looks quite cool. And that one. On this one I just sewed around some of the measuring tape stamps. This one I did with a different colour. This one I sewed on the actual dress and across the dress and just sewed upside down and all sorts. This one I just sewed just along the sides. Did a zigzag stitch along the sides. Zigzag stitched across the top and here and there. Zigzag stitched around. Zigzag straight through. Just did like a all over stitch there. Just around the edges. Straight stitch around the edges. Zigzag stitch around the edges. So that's what we have done for our papers. And in the next video we will be sticking them all in the book, decorating the book. So stay tuned for the next video. I hope you enjoyed this process and what I have done with the papers. Hopefully Sandra approves. Hopefully she doesn't think I've destroyed the papers, but anyway, there we go. Thanks for watching. See you again soon.